If you are currently paying rent in the UK, there is a 90% chance you have had the exact same thought loop while staring at your ceiling at 2 o'clock in the morning. You calculate how much money you have handed over to your landlord this year, you look at the price of an average terrace house on Rightmove, you see the current interest rates, and you sink into a mild existential crisis. We have been conditioned to believe that renting is just throwing money away, while buying a house is the ultimate golden ticket to financial freedom. But in today's economic climate, that old-school advice is not just outdated, it is actively dangerous. Today, we are breaking down the brutal, mathematical truth of renting versus buying in the UK. We will pull back the curtain on the hidden costs that both sides try to hide from you, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly which move makes the most sense for your wallet. Let us start with the massive elephant in the room: the emotional trap of owning a home. We are a nation obsessed with property. From a young age, we are told that getting on the property ladder is the definition of making it. But let us look at the raw mechanics of buying your first home, because it is nowhere near as simple as just swapping your rent payment for a mortgage payment. When you buy a house, everyone celebrates the deposit. You scrape together your 10, 20, or £30,000, you sign the paperwork, and you think the hard part is over. It isn't. The very first thing you encounter is the unrecoverable cost of actually getting the deal done. You have got surveyor fees to make sure the roof isn't about to collapse. You have got solicitor fees to navigate the endless mountain of legal paperwork. You might have stamp duty land tax depending on the purchase price and whether you are a first-time buyer. And then there are the arrangement fees just to secure the mortgage tracking or fixed rate itself. All of this is money that leaves your current account and never comes back. It does not go toward building equity in your home. It is just the price of entry. Once you are in the house, the financial reality shifts. When you rent and the boiler explodes in the middle of a freezing January, it is a stressful text message to your landlord, but it costs you £0. When you own the house and the boiler explodes, that is an immediate £3,000 hit to your emergency fund. This is what economists call the unrecoverable cost of homeownership. As a homeowner, you are fully responsible for the structural integrity, the plumbing, the electrics, and the general maintenance of the primary residence. A good rule of thumb is to set aside 1% of the property value every single year just for maintenance. If your house is worth £300,000, that is £3,000 a year, or £250 a month, completely separate from your mortgage, just to keep the building standing. Then we have to talk about how a mortgage actually works, because this trips up almost everybody. When you make your monthly mortgage payment, you are not actually buying that amount of your house. In the early years of a 25 or 30-year mortgage, your payment is heavily weighted toward interest. If your monthly mortgage payment is £1,200, a massive chunk of that is just profit for the bank. That interest is dead money. It is functionally identical to rent, except instead of paying a landlord, you are paying a high street bank. It does not build your wealth, it just services the debt. Now, let us flip the coin and look at the actual reality of renting. Renting gets a horrible reputation in the UK finance community, and to be fair, dealing with rogue landlords and inspection visits is miserable. But from a purely financial perspective, renting offers a superpower that homeownership completely destroys: flexibility and liquidity. When you rent, your financial liability is capped. Your rent is the absolute maximum you will pay for your housing each month. When you own, your mortgage is the absolute minimum you will pay. If interest rates spike when your fixed-term deal ends, your monthly outgoings can skyrocket by hundreds of pounds overnight. Renters are protected from that immediate volatility, and more importantly, your capital isn't locked away in bricks and mortar. Think about the deposit money. If you put £30,000 down as a house deposit, that money is now dead to the world. It is trapped in the walls of your house. You cannot spend it, you cannot easily move it, and it isn't generating a monthly cash return. But what if you took that same £30,000 and invested it elsewhere? This is where the magic of the stock market comes in. If you utilize a stocks and shares ISA, you can invest up to £20,000 a year completely tax-free. Historically, a broad global index fund, or an S&P 500 index fund, has delivered average annual returns of around 7 to 10% over the long term. If your capital is compounding inside an ISA, it is growing entirely separate from the housing market. You are building liquid wealth that you can access in days, not months. Let us look at the mathematical comparison over a 10-year period to see how this actually plays out. Imagine two people, person A and person B. Person A decides to buy a £300,000 house with a 10% deposit of £30,000. They take out a mortgage, pay their interest, pay their building insurance, pay their maintenance costs, and after 10 years, they sell the house. Yes, the house has likely gone up in value, but you have to subtract 10 years of mortgage interest, 10 years of maintenance, solicitor fees on the way in, estate agent fees on the way out, and the opportunity cost of that original £30,000 deposit. Person B decides to rent instead. They take that £30,000 deposit and put it straight into a low-cost index fund inside their ISA. Every month, because their rent is cheaper than the total cost of mortgage plus maintenance, plus insurance, they take the cash difference and add it to their ISA investment portfolio. After 10 years, Person B has a massive, highly liquid financial portfolio that has been compounding quietly in the background. In many economic scenarios, particularly when interest rates are higher, Person B can actually end up with a higher net worth than Person A. This brings us to the concept of structural flexibility. The modern economy demands agility. If you get a job offer on the other side of the country that doubles your salary, as a renter, you can hand in your notice and move within a month. As a homeowner, you are anchored. Selling a primary residence in the UK takes an average of 4 to 6 months, assuming the property chain doesn't collapse at the final hour. If you have to sell in a hurry during a housing market downturn, you risk losing a massive portion of your equity. So, how do you actually decide which path is right for you? It comes down to a simple framework. First, look at your time horizon. If you do not plan on living in the exact same town or city for at least 5 to 7 years, do not buy a house. The transactional costs of buying and selling will completely wipe out any equity you build in the short term. Second, look at your financial discipline. If renting means you're going to spend your spare cash on holiday trips, designer clothes, and takeaway coffees, then buying a house acts as a form of forced savings. It forces you to build equity because you have to pay the mortgage. But if you have the discipline to consistently invest your extra cash into an ISA, renting can be an incredible wealth-building strategy. Ultimately, the choice between renting and buying isn't a moral judgment. It is a strategic business decision where you are the business. Do not let societal pressure or older generations who bought houses for 3 times their annual salary dictate your financial future. The economic landscape has fundamentally shifted, and you need to run the numbers based on the world we live in today. If you want to take total control of your money, stop making accidental financial mistakes, and learn how to build real wealth in the UK without the confusing jargon, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now and join the Money Mad community. We drop actionable, straight-talking finance guides every single week to help you maximize your income, optimize your investments, and build a life of genuine financial freedom. Thank you for watching. Drop your thoughts on the renting versus buying debate in the comments below, and we will see you in the next video.